Hi guys, so this is our first selection tool in GimpShop. We're going to start with the scissor select tool and we'll focus on the rest individually as we go. For the scissor select tool, there's a couple things to know. One is when I select the tool, as you remember, I have different options below it. So in this option, I can replace the current selection, add to the current selection, subtract from the current selection, which means remove what I selected, and or intersect with the current selection. For this one, we're going to replace the current selection. We want to make sure anti-aliasing is always checked. What that does is it refines the edges of your selection to make the image, maintain a realistic view. So what it does is, it's just a silly tech term, but what it really does is just refine the edges of your selection just to make the picture look more realistic. So that should be checked. The other one that should be checked is interactive boundary. As you can see, it allows me to see where I'm connecting and where I'm putting my dots. So that's really important, and to adjust it. And the last one that I don't want to select is called feather edges. Feather edges make the selection edges that I've done fuzzy. So it'll give Barack Obama, in this case, kind of a cloudy look around him, or a halo. So I don't want to do that yet. Maybe when I do something to make Barack Obama into an angelic hero, I will. But at the moment, we are just going to use interactive boundary and anti-aliasing. So make sure those two are checked. And the difference between this tool and the free select tool is this one follows the contours of a kind of a jagged edge area a little bit better. It also allows us to select things, fuzzy, hairy, things like that. Just a little bit more of an accurate tool. And I can adjust my selection after. So I'll show you how I do that. But let's start by clicking on the top of his head with our tool. And let's start selecting as we go. I'm going to click as I go. And that brings my line around my selection. So keep going around his ear. Don't worry about mistakes. There's ways to correct them afterward. We don't need to do it yet. We'll just keep going. That's one of the nice things about this tool, is it allows us to change those errors as we go. And we don't have to worry about doing it on the moment. So I'm going to go down here. And if you noticed, I'm kind of going to where there's a change and I put a dot. So if there's a lump or a bump or a direction change, I'll put a dot at the edge of it, which will keep my selection pretty good as we go. If I went over it, I would probably have more issues because I would probably leave a big space, such as, well, it doesn't let me do it there because it's reading it very well, but if I cut ahead too far, it will cut off part of him, which we can also adjust. Don't worry too much. If I'm going around an edge like his earlobe, I would make more dots to be more accurate. So remember that when you're selecting. We're going to continue up. I use my mouse wheel to go up, or I can use the scroll bar on the side here. I'm going to go around the top of his ear, bring it in, and up to his hair, and try to get you an example of something like that, a mistake that I can go back and change. So last click I made was actually on Barack Obama, on my first dot I made on Barack Obama. So I'm going to go back to some of these error spots. This one I would just drag and drop up if I can, just to make an adjustment. Down here, you can see along his ear, looks pretty good. One way to do this really more accurately is to zoom in, where you can see little things like this, where I might want to just grab that and drag it in. So I can go around his whole body and do this. I might want to take that out a little bit just to not lose part of his cheek. And again, I'm zoomed right in, so there's lots of little areas here where I can adjust. It really is dependent on, how refined you want it to look, how sharp you want it to look, how much time you want to spend refining your selection. So this could take a long time, it could take a short time. The results usually are when you spend a little bit more time on it and have a little bit more patience than I'm giving this tutorial, but either way. So bring those out, make those adjustments. But you're not looking at really at the dots as much as you're looking at the line. You want to make sure the line follows his ear properly. And a little, too much is too much. So this could be too much along here. You'll see when you finally get the selection done. And again, at the top, we're having some trouble up there. So we will move over at the horizontal bar. I'm just going to try to bring these selections up a little bit. It lets me. So let me pull it across just like that. I can remove the rest later. Okay, so for the purpose of the example, we'll leave it for now. We're going to zoom back out, and he looks sort of like this. Now, what I want to do next is, in order to make that a selection, I want to drop my drop my cursor inside the selection and click. And once I've clicked, you can see how it made a selection and changed it to a moving line. That means that the current selection is made. So when I've done that, what I want to do now is add an alpha channel, because part of this tutorial should always be a bit of enrichment. You get the gist of how to use this selection tool, and some of the options here that we used, you know what they're for. Now we want to add something called an alpha channel. And what that will do is make a certain channel my primary selection. So right now I want to make the selection of Barack Obama something called an alpha channel. So I'm going to go under layer at the top menu, and I'm going to come under here. And when we look under transparency, we can see add alpha channel. And that just makes everything behind him transparent. Okay. So I'm going to click that, add alpha channel. So now he is my alpha channel, but I want to get rid of the background instead. I don't want to get rid of Barack Obama. So I'm going to go back up, and this time I'm going to go to select. And when I come down from select, I'm going to select invert. What inverts is going to do is, instead of selecting Barack Obama, what it's actually doing now is selecting the background behind him. And once that's selected, all I need to do is hit delete to remove the background. And then you get a good idea of your accuracy of your selection. By seeing the outline, you can see that most of Barack Obama looks pretty good. I even got his ears in there. Had a little mess on the top of his head, but that's okay. We can, with more time, that probably won't happen. But now I can take this selection and I can move this selection into a different photo on a different background with a different scene behind him, etc., etc. So I won't move the layer. I'll just come back to this. That is the end of the tutorial for using the scissor select tool. And now it's your turn.